I'm with the Chief Constable and part two, looking at your report. You mentioned financial, and I think last year it was a big thing that if it wasn't being handled big enough, you need more resources. I think you've got those now. Have you seen a reflection in the amount of fraud and finance issues?
Some more cases have been reported. My economic crime unit, which deals with the top end stuff, has got 37 live inquiries today. It's had some very successful prosecutions in the last 12 months, some quite lengthy terms of imprisonment handed out. It's done some very good work to assist other jurisdictions.
Has it brought down the numbers though?
No, the numbers will go up because there's this huge growth in white collar crime across the whole world. Just before I was we've done this interview, I'd spent an hour with professional colleagues from other agencies talking to people from the Treasury Select Committee from the House of Commons, and one question that Nicky Morgan, the MP, asked me was, well, how big is financial crime? So I said to her, well, if you asked the Chief Constable in England how big financial crime was, he or she wouldn't know the answer, and I don't know the answer because it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and I don't know the full extent of it.
And it's interesting, you also use detection rates as one blanket. I mean, if you broke it down, and do you break it down? Do we see it broken down?
Yes, it's broken down in the report. You can see it. There's a link in the report that takes you to where the detailed data is.
So it's financial, has that gone up or down? Or?
There's a lot more financial crime. Right. And that's, some of it's about recording practices, some of it's about the new law, but some of it, quite simply, is there are more offences. So, and the offences range from, so if you look at one level, it is people being ripped off online. So people being scammed by professional criminals who may be in the UK, they may be anywhere in the world, who'll scam them and take their money from them because they'll give away their bank account details, through to big corporate fraud. And so the work that we're doing is extensive and ongoing and relentless. And you'll interview a Chief Constable in 10 years' time, who'll be saying the same things, I've no doubt.
Isn't it incredible, like local telecoms or banks, and that, the effort they go to? People probably wonder why you can't, I say you, get those sites down really quickly, or when you get a text, hit this number. Is it any better or worse here in the Isle of Man?
It's no better, no worse than anywhere else, because people will fall victim here to offenders from around the world. Right. So the intention that we've got is to improve prevention, because the detection of some of these things is very difficult. So if you've got people who are in a former Soviet state who are committing online fraud, we're never going to bring them back from a former Soviet state to the Isle of Man, but we can prevent people in the first place from being scammed. And one big piece of work that's happened in the last year is the creation of what we call a banking protocol, where the local retail banks will tell us when they see people who are on the verge of being scammed. And as we're doing this interview, there's one case live at the moment where an elderly person has gone into a bank wanting to withdraw a big cash sum to give it to someone in Liverpool who's going to invest it for them. Okay. Now, so they're just being scammed. Sure. So community officers will go to them and sit with them, and we can't tell them, we can't make them keep the money, but we can do everything we can in our power to persuade them not to.
Okay. We're very tight for time. So historical sex abuse was very big last year and has been for some years. Has that finally peaked?
It may well have peaked. The demands on the team who deal with that have been consistently high throughout the year, but not just quite as high as the year before.
Because you were under terrible pressure. I mean, you were saying, I think, it was a mountain of cases.
It's relentless, and it's part of the world we live in, unfortunately. And you could ask my counterparts in Jersey and Guernsey, they'd say the same things. So there was a step increase in demand. That increase perhaps is plateauing, but it's just simply the new reality.
Okay. Nothing youth, and I think we've all been there, but you see quite a lot of youth collecting. I mean, I saw something in town the other day, openly drinking alcohol, probably near the Villiers Square or some of those remote areas. Are you concerned about that sort of attitude? Because I mean, you can't be everywhere. I understand that, and you end up moving them on. I'm probably answering the question for you here, but what can you do about that sort of part of the society?
Young people in the Isle of Man are great. They consistently achieve great things in sport, academically, in music and theatre and so on. That's brilliant. However, I predicted years ago that when we reduced neighbourhood policing because of the budget cuts that were imposed on us, that there would be consequences, and I said that one consequence would be changes to how young people behave and an increase in crime relating to young people. That's exactly what's happened. Government has given me more money in the budget this year because they understand that issue now, and they've been very supportive. we will rebuild neighbourhood policing over the next 2 or 3 years, and we'll address issues like that much better than we do now.
So when you see a group, and I'm sure you get phone calls going straight in, what do you do? Just move them on? I mean, what can you do?
Well, just moving people on doesn't achieve anything.
Exactly.
So the issue of young people drinking is, how do you stop them drinking?
Okay.
So the work starts in the schools, you start to educate them. You may have to take enforcement action. We've just re-engineered our approach to young people. We've created a new team using different officers, and we've got great support from the third sector in particular, and we're already starting to make real inroads into what young people do. So, for example, there was a lot of damage committed at one of the schools in Onchan. We've used restorative justice approaches to the young people. That's sitting them with the teachers and the kids from the school so they can understand the impact of their offending. Those young people who were doing that, who were going right off the rails, have not offended since. That's the future, that's the way it needs to go.
Finally, firearms call-outs up quite a big percentage, yet you could say we're still the safest armed. It's just jarring a bit?
We deployed firearms officers 15 times last year.
Yeah, compared with less than the year before.
Well, compared with last year, but compared with Jersey, where last year they deployed 50 times.
Yeah.
So Jersey's, small place, little bit bigger population. Some of it is around the carrying of knives. So increasingly we are seeing people carrying knives. That's not fully reflected yet in the data.
Right, okay.
But it also relates to people who are in a very bad place mentally and emotionally, and who are threatening to harm themselves or others. And we have to deploy officers to manage that situation safely, and sadly sometimes that means deploying armed officers.
Okay, just to finish with, for my own thing, are you handling the media as well as you could do? Because we've had some run-ins, not you personally, but I'm almost ringing you up at some point. The police seem to be going straight to social media, which is the way it's going, I understand that, but seem to almost not communicating with the media enough.
I think we've made 1 or 2 mistakes in the last 12 months in the media, both in terms of not issuing things promptly enough, but also sometimes issuing too much.
Too much?
There's a fine balance. So the school prom thing that's just happened, for example, we've taken a hit for a number of partners in that, and how we handled that was quite interesting, and with hindsight we might have done it differently. Yeah,
but that's going to social media, not particularly the media, but anyway.
But there's much more we can do with the media, but importantly, the social media reach that we have far exceeds the reach of traditional media.
Oh yeah, and it's going to get more better.
So
I'm just making a point.
Yes, but how we keep you in tune with what we're doing is important, and I take your point.